Hi, I am Alfonso Muchacho and I am a producer and a DJ, not a YouTuber. And as a DJ, I'm going to explain to you why you probably shouldn't be DJing with Keylock on. Now, there may be other videos out there covering this, but I haven't seen them and I'm not going to waste my time listening to what those nerds have to say. I'll probably upset a few experts out there with this, and I might even ruin a few sets for you that you've already listened to, that you might listen to in the future. I certainly know that I find this very annoying, and when I point it out to you, you may too find this annoying. So, what is Keylock? In the production world, we would call this time stretching, and essentially it's a way of manipulating the pitch and tempo of a recorded sound independently of each other, meaning you can speed something up or slow it down, and the pitch doesn't have to change. Or you can pitch something up or down and the tempo doesn't have to change. They are independent parameters. So finding out about the science around this technology might leave you a little bit confused. As you can see here, a quick Google search yields some interesting results, many of which will probably apply better to yoga than DJing. Helpfully, Wikipedia has a terribly written explanation, as you can see here. Makes complete sense, I'm sure. And yeah, I'm sure, like me, you really want to spend your time getting a degree level understanding of the mathematics behind this. So how does this magic work? Well, the media player or computer will slice up the track into tiny little pieces. We're talking milliseconds here. To make the track quicker, it will just remove a few of those slices, enabling the track to be played back without increasing the pitch. The idea being that you can fit less slices into a certain amount of time, so removing a few allows the rest of the slices to remain played back at the same tempo. Which slices are removed is kind of determined by the type of algorithm you're using. For instance, one that prioritizes transients will attempt to preserve those particular sounds. If the track is slowed down, you have more space to fit more of these little slices in, so some of them are repeated, filling in the empty space without having to lower the pitch of the track. Reasonably simple stuff, and the mechanisms of how this works are a little bit more complicated, but that's the general idea. So, why do people DJ with Keylock on? Anyway, in a word, harmonic mixing. That's 2 words. By now, most of you will know that each track has a key, and some of those keys blend well together and some don't. The idea being that harmonic mixing allows for pleasant blends of keys that don't make your teeth itch with a key clash. Obviously, if you are altering the speed and subsequently pitch of a track without Keylock, that will alter the key of the track, and you might end up with a key clash even if the tracks should have played nicely before the pitch was altered. So that's the theory anyway. Let's take a look at why you shouldn't be using this, probably. So, as I mentioned just now, Keylock essentially resamples a sound and tries to fill in the space or make space by removing elements. Either way you look at it, a reduction in sound quality is inevitable. If you're changing the pitch so dramatically that it's causing a huge key clash, you're going to be degrading the sound even worse. The more extreme the change in pitch, the more extreme the reduction in quality, and you probably shouldn't be mixing those 2 tracks together harmonically anyway. Let's get into some examples, and these will get progressively worse and more annoying as we go along. So the first example here, I've got a track that I've made, and I will play it you without any Keylock on at all. So it's just played back normally, and then I'll play it you sped up and slowed down with a couple of different algorithms. Have a listen to the original and then see if you can tell a difference between the quality of the recorded files. Pay particular attention to the transients. So these are the peaks, the clicks at the beginning of each sound, like the kicks, and also the hi-hats. So that's the original file. Now, what I'm going to play you here is a version of it that I've sped up using Keylock. I think I used the Complex Pro algorithm in Ableton. Take a listen. See if you can hear the difference. Now, I know that the loop isn't quite in time there, but what I'm trying to get across is it's still in the same key, sure, it still sounds the same, but listen to the difference in the attack on the kicks here. So that's the first one. Go back to the original. I can hear a big difference there. Have another listen. I don't know about you, but it just sounds so much softer. It's like the tick, the high end, the very beginning of the kick has just kind of been sliced off, and it's almost like that you've put like a fade in front of the kick, so it's lost the impact, it's lost the attack. So to emphasize this even more, I said these examples will get more annoying as we go along. I'm going to really slow down this track now using the best algorithm that Ableton has to show you what an extreme case of this sounds like. So then you can hear the artifacts and the reduction in quality. Very obvious. That's what you're kind of looking out for, and obviously you wouldn't make that much of a extreme change, but it's just giving you an example. That second kick there, it almost sounds like there's two of them. So where the algorithm has kind of stretched the sound out like that, it's almost like it's doubled up on the transient of the kick. So it's like there's two kicks layered one off the other. So it's like a ba-boom, ba-boom. Here's an even more extreme example. This is taken from a recording of a DJ set from a DJ that I really do like. They play good music. They mix it all well, good track selection, but you can really tell they're using Keylock here. Take a listen. The attack of those kicks is just completely disappearing, and it seems quite random. That second example there, the kick is almost completely devoid of any attack. Let's get another example. Here, it changes with each kick. Almost at random. Bit better. That one there is a prime example of what I'm talking about. So as the quality of the tracks are degraded and you lose the attack on the kick drum, you'll hear even more dramatic examples of that when you're mixing two key-locked tracks into each other. So you're kind of stacking the reduction in quality on top of each other. And it's kind of ironic that when you're trying to make the transitions between tracks sound more pleasant, what is actually happening here is the opposite. A track is losing quality and then it's stacked on top of another track at reduced quality, thus compounding the effect. This is why it can sometimes sound like the kicks are drifting in and out of sync even when they're in perfect sync. The attack from the kick on one track gets chopped off and the other pokes through. Other times they both hit at the same time perfectly, and in another instance they'll both get chopped, resulting in this weird missed kick feeling. And bear in mind, this is what it sounds like with high quality WAV files. If the DJ is playing MP3 files, it has a tendency to sound even worse. So what about key clashes then? Whilst it's true some tracks just don't go well together and harmonic mixing is generally a good idea, I've listened to some classic mixes from years gone by that weren't mixed this way and it really spoils the mix for me now. But it's not always a deal breaker. You have to remember, particularly with house and techno, you're mixing tracks that are specifically designed to blend into one another. The producer has literally carved out an intro just for the DJ to use, and most of the time this intro is comprised of atonal percussive elements such as the kick drum, hats, claps, snare, percussion. You might get a bass line here and there, but the chances are it won't be hugely melodic with lots of different notes. And You'd rarely find huge melodies like pianos, synth leads, or vocals in the intro or the outro, as they are designed to be played into or out of another track. These are the most stripped back parts of a track, and even if you're slightly out of key, the chances are you won't have a big problem on your hands because of the lack of harmonic information here. So I guess my takeaway here is if you use Keylock, you are compromising the quality of the entire track from beginning to end to solve a problem that probably doesn't even exist. Even if you have a slight key clash due to pitching a track in D minor up by, let's say, 1%, so it mixes into another track at D minor playing at -1%, it really won't be noticeable most of the time. And even if it was, it will be momentary, just for maybe a few seconds during the blend. You can even EQ out the mid-range or bass if you like, just to reduce that element. Your track pitched up by 1% will sound much better for its entire length this way than if you use Keylock. I swear this probably accounts for about half of the complaints of vinyl just sounds better, as Keylock wasn't really a thing in the vinyl world, and there were plenty of great sounding mixes done on 2 turntables without any time stretching going on. I understand if you mix rap, pop, or any open format performance like that, you may run into key clashes more regularly due to the length of the tracks, but for house and techno, it really isn't necessary. I never play with Keylock on, and no one has ever pointed out a key clash in any of my studio mixes or live sets. But everything you do to a track reduces its quality. Every format conversion from analog to digital and back again, every cable, every codec, it all makes the sound just a little bit worse, so try to keep it as pure as possible and leave the Keylock alone most of the time. I'm caveating all these things with most of the time because there will be some big brain individual in the comments letting me know, well, actually, if you DJ'd this way, blah, blah, blah. In the production world, we always tried to keep recordings as true to how they were recorded. So you'll go for the most transparent microphone, the most transparent EQ. You'll try to get the most high fidelity recording. And this kind of bleeds over into the DJ world as well, where people are looking for the highest quality files played over the best mixers and the best sound systems. But within the production world, there is this kind of acknowledgement that when you're time stretching, i.e. using Keylock, you are always reducing the quality of that performance. If you're given a vocal and it's 100 BPM and you want to speed it up to 120 to make it work with your track, people are very reticent to do this and will spend a lot of time just cutting out silences and trying to make it play back at the same pitch but also the same speed, trying to do a compromise between not speeding up too much and not bringing in all these artifacts. And this should bleed over into the DJ world as well. We should be looking to replay a track as close to the original as it can be. If your track is 20 BPM too fast or too slow, it's probably the wrong track to play at that time. And if you can't mix it into another track because of a key clash, then it's probably the wrong track at the wrong time. You can, of course, bodge this by putting Keylock on, and magically it can be any tempo you like and it can be any key you like, but nothing ever comes for free. There's always a compromise, and the compromise here is definitely quality. It might not be something you hear when you're listening on your Apple earbuds while you're walking the dog. It might not be something you ever pick up on SoundCloud. But in a live setting over a great system, you're really going to notice if someone's DJing with Keylock on. The biggest thing you notice on the dance floor is the kick drum. It's always the most important thing in electronic music, and we should be doing everything we can to preserve the kick drum from the studio where it was created all the way to the dance floor where it's played, and you won't do that by making huge tempo adjustments with Keylock on. So I'm genuinely interested in your thoughts on this one. Have you ever noticed someone using Keylock and noticed a reduction in the quality? And have you ever heard a DJ mix harmonically but it's slightly out of harmony, like the keys are clashing slightly? Like, be honest, have you ever noticed that on a dance floor? I definitely haven't, but I have noticed Keylock on. I have noticed a little bit of the high end and the low end being compromised. I'm just interested in your thoughts when you've been on a dance floor or even when you've been DJing. Have you noticed either of these two things? This is usually the point where someone asks to like, share and subscribe. I don't want you to do either of those things. If you comment and just call me an idiot down below, that'd be great. That really helps in the algorithm. But I'm not a YouTuber, so I don't care. Peace.